Judiciary being one arm of the government and the first and the final arbiter of the justice, the guardian of the Constitution, and arguably the rule of law, which is one of the most vital and critical institution. And each and every year, just like the president did last week on Thursday, he had the State of the Nation address where he highlighted a number of issues that the government has been able to achieve and also the challenges and also looking forward. Well, every year, the judiciary does the same. It's called the State of the Judiciary and Administration of Justice Report, or commonly known as SOJA, which highlights a number of things that they are doing and also giving stock of what has been achieved and what to be achieved, and also some of the challenges that the judiciary is going through. And that is what will be forming basis for our discussion on this first hour. And without further ado, allow me to introduce my guest. I don't know where to begin. You're not a familiar, you're not a new face to me. Yes. I've worked in the judiciary at least for 4 years as a court reporter. Okay. And we have met in one or two, yes, including the SOJA report. Yes. And my guest today is Deputy Chief Registrar and also the Judiciary Spokesperson, Honorable Paul Ndemo. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much, Joe.
Yeah, and he's also a very good MC, I'll tell you that. He's been doing MCs for the State of the, let's call it the State of the Nation, the judiciary version. Yes. Well, the head of state did highlight a number of key issues, including 5 trillion, we're moving towards the first world. And the judiciary in the same week did the same thing, to tell us, as Kenyans, what exactly has been, especially for the last 1 year. So from your assessment, where are we in terms of access to justice, in a nutshell?
Well, thank you very much, Njue. It is a real pleasure to be here in the studios. I think the interactions we've had have been more at the judiciary, not been to your studios, but it's a real pleasure. And as an institution, we are very committed to come and inform Kenyans about what we do, the issues touching on access to justice, and anything else touching on mwananchi that relates to the courts. So in terms of the state of the judiciary and the administration of justice, as you very correctly pointed out, we have an obligation as an institution given by law that we need to report to the public every year what it is that we have done with the resources that have been provided, what are the milestones we have achieved, and what are the challenges, if any, that we have experienced. So talking about the reporting period, I can say that there has been a lot of things that have actually been accomplished. I think the first thing that really stands out, that is very commendable, is that we have started to eat into the backlog that has been there, because it is very historic to note that for the first time we are talking about a clearance rate of cases of 104%. What that means is that the cases that were resolved in that year are more than the cases that were filed.
Oh, okay.
So the cases that were filed, for instance, in that year were 621,000. That is the volume. We were able to resolve 647,000 cases. So slightly more than what was filed. That means we are now starting to eat into the old cases, the backlog, and that is a very positive thing. Because one of the big issues that have been there through successive administrations in the judiciary has been an emphasis on how do we deal with backlog. Because where there are delays in matters, mwananchi feels it. And we also don't like it. Because if a matter is going to take 3, 4, 5, 7, 10 years, really justice is not being served as it ought. So we are very happy that we have hit 104%, meaning we are starting to now reduce on that backlog. So that's one of the big issues.
And for the context of this conversation and our viewers, I've seen in the dailies, grab a copy and you will see, I'm actually looking at reducing case backlog, just a snapshot I've taken of one of the papers today, and they can clearly show your graph going up.
Yes.
We know very well, judiciary is not funded as it should be, by the Exchequer, but what has really contributed to 104%?
Yes, first, I mean, judicial officers and judges are really committed to ensuring that justice is done. Our strategic document, the social transformation through access to justice, which is a blueprint, really emphasizes on services to the public. And the Chief Justice has also really been at the forefront, championing and encouraging our judges and judicial officers to serve the public, to ask ourselves, when we come to court every day, what is it I have done to push the dial in terms of justice delivery to the people? So there has been a lot of commitment, I would say that, from our judicial officers and judges, but we also have had a heavy investment in technology. That technology, now we have virtual courts, we have electronic filing of the cases that are filed in court, and so with the uptick, with the increased uptick of technology, it means that you are able to do slightly more and faster than what you are able to do earlier. And that is why the question of funding is a very important factor, really. And we ask the question of, we talk about the question of funding, because when you look at the development of any economy, you must factor in dispute resolution. If you can have your disputes resolved quicker, if you can have them resolved more predictably, then invariably the economy will also respond. So we must, as Kenyans, be willing to invest in the dispute resolution mechanism, which is captured within the judiciary, in order to ensure that the economy is also growing. Actually, it has been found where you have an inefficient judiciary, this is world data, where there is an inefficient judiciary, because there is no proper resourcing and all, the country is affected to the extent of 2.5% of the GDP.
That's a lot.
It's very high. That is very high. And that is why it is important to recognize that funding a judiciary is not an institutional issue. It is something that helps the entire country.
Yes.
It is the entire country.
And the economy as well.
And the economy.
And it's a good thing that you've mentioned the economy, because I've seen the small scales, the small claims court.
The small claims
They're
court.
doing a fantastic job.
Yes.
How much are we talking about that has gone back to the economy?
The small claims court is a phenomenon initiative that we came up with. And maybe just to explain to the viewers, the small claims courts are courts where matters that have got a value of $1 million and below are heard and determined. And they have become very popular because they have a timeline of 60 days. Listening to when a matter is filed to the time it is concluded, it should be finished within 60 days. So when this started, we thought it was, just a few people that would bring their matters. But in this last financial year, the matters shot up to over 150,000. From just about 50,000 in the previous year. And in fact, in our data in SOJA, you can see that there is an increase in the civil cases. But really that increase is because of the small claims cases that have been, people have really gone to those courts. So, and you asked a direct question, we're talking about 9 billion. Small claims court, and you see those matters when
you're talking about less than $1 million.
Yes, and that less than $1 million. Some of them is 100,000, 50,000. Somebody owed you, somebody took some of your goods. You want to go to court. 70,000. So by the time that accumulates to 9 billion, we're talking about so many cases and so many members of the public who are feeling helped, because the process is not as technical. The timeline is very short. So we have very many people now filing cases there. So that is actually one of the game changers. And we are striving to put resources there. And that is one of the courts that we would be saying if we can get more resources, then we can increase the number of adjudicators.
Are there plans to scale them up?
Well, it depends on funding. We have
the
got...
plans are there.
The plans are there, but with the support of additional resources, we can get more people to come on board. This financial year, we increased the numbers to 40. So now we have 40 small claims courts across the country. We wanted to increase by a big number, but we could only do 3 because of the resources. So now we have gotten up to 40. So the small claims courts are really a game changer. And you know, initially we thought it was just small traders, few people will come, but we've got very many lawyers now bringing their matters there, and because of the speed.
Yes, the 60 days.
The 60 days, it is really doing wonders. The other thing I would add about, you asked about the state of the judiciary. We have sought to open more doors for access to justice, because we are very aware that the mainstream courts, as we know them, cannot support everything access to justice. And so under our strategic document, we have got what we call a multi-door approach to justice. So it's not just the courts. We have other systems, so like we have the alternative justice systems, which are more like the traditional ways of resolving disputes. And in this reporting period alone, we had over 600 cases that were resolved purely, not going through the court, but supported through the court. And we are seeing an uptake of that increasingly. And it's something we are really encouraging, and it is very positive because it's been taken up by the elders, and there are matters that can be resolved there. Then we also have the court-annexed mediation. The court-annexed mediation is where the court itself supports the mediation. Parties come before the court to bring their matter, but then the court tells them, we are going to appoint a mediator to deal with this matter. Should that matter then be resolved at that point, then the matter is considered finalized. So the parties don't have then to come to court and prosecute their matter in court. And we have found those alternative justice systems and the court-annexed mediation really help in terms of building a cohesive society, you know, restoring relationships, because it is not the typical, you come to court, I win, you lose, you know, I am happy, you're unhappy. We are not even, you know, talking after that. But these alternatives we are finding are really positive. And we find they're also removing the pressure from the mainstream courts. So there are many things that have happened. We've opened courts, additional courts. We opened 6 magistrates courts in this financial year, this past financial year. We opened a sub-registry in Garissa for the Court of Appeal. So in terms of access, we are saying we are moving. It's a sub-registry, not a full court, but then one can file anything for the Court of Appeal there. We have opened 2 new high courts, one in Makadara now to serve you know, the population there and matters going there. Another one in Isiolo, you know. So really, we're making strides in terms of ensuring that there is access to justice. We had 59 mobile courts across the country. Now, let me explain mobile courts so that the viewers can also understand. Mobile courts are typically courts that are held away from the location of where there is a court infrastructure. So, for example, if you have a court in a place like Homa Bay, you will find maybe 100+ kilometers away from Homa Bay, there is no court. But you have people who live there. So that court from Homa Bay will need to go there maybe like once a week, so that people there can also access those services. And our goal is to ensure that we get to a place where anybody wanting to access court services does not have to travel more than 100 kilometers. And that is still distant. We have especially hundreds of kilometers. Exactly. And really, if you talk about access to justice, we must look at the geographical barrier. How do we? That is the first basic. How do we deal with geographical barriers so that then we have people not being limited, you know, by distance? So many things have actually been done in this past reporting period. We believe that we are on the right trajectory, And I think with more coordination and working together with our stakeholders, we will take this even further so that people have got access to justice.
I'm looking at this case clearance rate, that is the CCR, and technology, just like you mentioned, has really essentially played a key role in actualizing this. But I'm also looking at technology and the management of the files and cases using technology.
Yes.
In as much as it is helping, it could be, particularly in remote areas, it could be, how can we work, or what steps are you taking to ensure that technology is more or less, is not restricting some Kenyans to access that, especially those who don't have smartphones, because I've seen us even as journalists, you know, following cases on Zoom, you know? It can be a restriction, especially to places where we don't have enough internet, we don't have smartphones as well. It's true. That can be, and we are aware of that, and that is why we have sought to partner with, for example, Huduma centers, so that anybody who wants to access the court and you are not able to access the court, then you can just go to the nearest Huduma center and you get services there. But we are also, we have also actually opened some kiosks within the courts, and this is something that we are rolling out slowly, where we have a person can actually come to court and you receive services there. But you'd agree with me that the way technology is moving very fast, and even the mama in the village now, we don't send money anymore through the old ways we used to send. So there is a lot of progress that has been made in terms of how we pay our bills, you know, how we look at, we get information from our phones. So the uptake of technology, surprisingly, is also fairly high. It's probably more than what people think in terms of availability. But we are conscious, and so there are those steps that we have taken to ensure that people are not left behind. And if you keep up with the 104%, I'm quite sure we will be done away with all the backlog of cases. But I'm looking at the cases that have lasted for more than 5 years, 10 years, backlog. Which is one strategy that the judiciary is using to ensure that even those cases are also covered. So of course, the first important thing I would say that is necessary that we have adequate capacity to be able to deal with these matters. If there are small steps we have taken, and maybe that's let me start there. There are steps we have taken to ensure that those matters that are old, you know, we deal with them. We have initiatives like what we call the rapid response initiatives, where we sometimes just go and say, we have got, in this particular court, we have got 5,000 old matters. We send judges there or judicial officers, and we dedicate, you know, maybe like 2-3 weeks and say we are going to hit this and see how we reduce it. We also have things we call service weeks, where we just say, this particular week, we are going to deal with the matters to do with succession. And we put all our energies there. We can even get more additional support from judges or judicial officers from other courts to come and help and do that. That is fine. So those are things that we are using. But that is a very temporary measure which we are using because of lack of capacity. And the capacity I'm talking about is human resource. It is important that we have more personnel who are then able to hear these matters in a more sustainable manner. If you look at the average number of cases, for example, a judge has got an average of about 900 cases per judge per year. 900. A judicial officer has got about 1,200 per judicial officer per year. Those numbers are very high. They are very high. For you to be able to dispense matters quickly and for you to provide, you know, a fair you know, environment where matters are heard properly, and you need to have that number reduced. For you to reduce that number, you need to increase. So, for instance, we have 566 magistrates across the whole country.
the number that is required, that has been identified as at now, not for the future, now, that is needed is 1,200.
That's more than double.
So, yes, exactly. So we are operating at less than 50% now of the number of magistrates. In fact, in some court stations across the country, you only have one magistrate in a court station. And that is not a suitable situation because anything can happen. A magistrate they need to go on leave. Yeah. They can fall sick. All those things can happen. So those numbers need to be increased. We have got just slightly over 90 high court judges against an establishment of 200. So when we have the conversations about, can we have matters heard quicker? Can we have this? It is this same pool of people that we are pushing and saying, do more, produce more, and they're doing very well. Frankly speaking, considering the volume of work, considering the numbers, they're doing very well. But if we are going to have a sustainable reduction of backlog and we get to the place where we are saying we want to go almost real time. And I know as Kenyans, we like to compare ourselves with other jurisdictions, like this one, this one. Look at the numbers. Look at the numbers in those jurisdictions, a judge versus population. What are the numbers we are talking about? We need to work on those numbers so that we can reduce. But that said, we are very committed with the numbers that we have, and that is why already with the limited numbers, for the first time we have gone beyond 100%. Because like last year was 99%. So it means what was filed, we resolved just slightly below what was filed, meaning we did not touch on backlog. But now when you have 104, it is a very, very, very positive situation. It means we can now, next year probably now with additional resources, with more personnel, that number could go higher. And as we keep on increasing that number, then you will see that the period, even for dealing with the matters that have been filed presently, is also reducing. Yeah,
that's truly underscores why it really needs, we really need as a country to relook at the budget of the judiciary, because it's 3% or less than 3% of the national budget.
Oh, no, it's not.
It's not?
Oh, no, I wish you'd give us 3%.
It's not even 3%.
No. It is 0.06%.
0.06%
of the national budget. In fact, this is something that the Chief Justice has really championed and talked about. And we have also said this when we've gone to Parliament. And our desire is that this matter could be seen from a national point. It is not an institution that is just asking for money. The funding of the institution has got a direct correlation with national and economic development. It is tied like this. So historically, the funding has been very low. What, for example, we have sought for the next financial year was 44 billion. That's what we asked for. What is likely to be availed from the indication is about 29 billion.
It's almost half.
Yeah, it's almost half. We, of course, appreciate there have been efforts to increase that amount. And I think we also need to be honest and say we appreciate the efforts that have been there, through the legislature, through interventions of the executive, to increase that funding. That has helped to move, to push the dial forward in some areas. But what we are saying is that because of the historical underfunding that has been there, it's been there for so long that when you talk about 2%, it looks like so much money. But if you want the economy to be supported by a robust judiciary, if you want people to have confidence that when I file a commercial matter, this matter will be resolved within this period, then we need to talk about that funding. So that our funding, what we've been asking for, can we get at least 2.5%?
2.5.
If we get 3%, beautiful. But can we get at least 2.5% of the national budget? If you get that 2.5%, you will deal with infrastructure. Right now, we have 143 courts. We are supposed to have 290 courts. We are required, actually, by law, to have a court in every constituency. We cannot afford that. So we will deal with infrastructure. We are going to deal with personnel. We have got about 6,900 staff. The established number that has been given after, and this is scientific, we need 10,800 staff to support the work of the judiciary. It will support that work. Number 3, it will support automation. Automation, you and I know, is not a cheap exercise. For you to have servers that are working well, that can take the capacity. We now have electronic filing from across the entire country. You need servers with huge capacity.
Yeah.
You need to have court assistants who have got access to laptops, to desktops. You've got to have, every judicial officer must have that. So we are talking about a heavy capital outlay, but that is necessary for you to move this institution to serve in a way that everybody will feel like, yes, truly we are getting services as we ought. But we are working with what we have. We are not sitting back and saying, because we don't have, we'll not do it. And actually, one of the things we have done is we have an initiative called Mahakama Popote. Mahakama Popote initiative, what we did is we realized and said, if you look at a court like Milimani here, Milimani is a very busy court. We have other courts. Because of access to justice, we must have courts even in far-flung areas. Now, you may have a place far-flung there that the volume is not that much, but you must have a court. So what we have done is we have said the cases that the heavy load in Milimani, can we help to offload this and send some of these cases virtually to these far-flung areas that do not have such a heavy workload? So in the last year alone, we were able to actually deal with 19,000 such cases.
Just because of that initiative?
Just because of that initiative. With the human resource that we have, with the technology that we have, we dealt with 19,000 cases just like that. So I'm saying, we are not sitting back and saying, give us the money first, then we will move. No, no, no. We are also thinking and saying, with the limited resources we have, we are also thinking outside of the box so that we can ensure that we are, we are sensitive to the needs of Kenyans. How can we maximize on the limited resources that we have? So that for us has been a very, 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 very successful initiative, and we continue to champion it so that we distribute the work. While not saying give us people, we won't work and all that.
Because somebody had argued that we have a court station in every county. And we only have one National Assembly and one Senate. And unfortunately, the executive and the legislature, they have bigger budgets than the judiciary. Okay, that's an argument for another day. But we would want to know how exactly the low budget and the resources are not quite enough. How are you being able to open up even more court stations? How are you being able to, the machinery? How are you able to balance all this and ensure that Kenyans have access to justice? But for that, just hold the thought. Let's first of all cross over to Mombasa, where the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, IEK, is holding its annual one-week conference, and my colleague Ray Manyara is currently on that bit. I'm informed that we will be crossing over to that in a bit, but let's continue with this conversation. With all this cash crunch, but you're able to do cases, 104 is very commendable. That's a plain A. And, new court stations, and ADRs, small claims court, you need to scale everything up. But still the budget is a little bit low. How are you able to maneuver this?
So we are just we are creative. We are creative. So like, for example, talk about the small claims courts that we are opening. We go and work through the already existing infrastructure. So what that does is that you go to a place maybe like Thika, which had got a number of courts, then you identify one room or two rooms. Then you open that small claims court there. So it is not ideal because you are probably squeezing somebody out of that place. But then because of our commitment to serving Mwananchi, we say, you know what, we can squeeze in this small room and we start off this court. The sexual and gender-based violence courts, that is the same thing again we have done. Ideally, those courts should be, you know, structured in a particular way, but then we have used the existing infrastructure to have those courts so that again we have got better access to justice. In some instances, we've had members of parliament who have been very magnanimous and helped to renovate some buildings that we now use as courts. I will give an example of Kombewa, Kombewa Law Courts, which was the last court that we opened. That is a court that the MP went and found some structure, used their resources, you know, converted it into a court, created a few rooms there, and we went and we just started operating. So our budget there was very limited because we actually don't even have enough resources to do that. So it is partnerships that have helped us and the limited resources that we have that, you know, are pushing us towards having, you know, those different courts. But we would desire that we can move faster and have more of these courts opened so that then it becomes easier for people to come to those particular courts. So I told you we only opened 3 small claims courts. They have become so popular. These are courts that should be opened like across the whole country. You know, but now because of the resource constraints, we can only move as fast as the resources. And again, remember, it's not just the courts. When you open a court, you must think about who is going to sit in that court. You must think about personnel, which is a big issue we are having. You must think about equipment. You must think about the laptops. You must think about the desks. You must think about, you know, different furniture. You must think about that. So all those things are tied to resources. So the speed at which we are moving is greatly curtailed by the available resources that are there. But we are being creative. If we find a space, if we can share you know, spaces, we are doing that. One of the other initiatives we've gotten because of these limited resources is we have got a model under the tribunals, and tribunals have done very well. Because tribunals now fall under the judiciary, we have got a model where we are saying we have got shared services. So what we have done is, like in Nairobi here, we have a building, but instead of having every tribunal, you know, sitting in a different building or another space, we have one building, all the tribunals are there, they share boardrooms, they share, like you have got 2 or 3 courts, they share the courts. So we use a rotation system. For the tribunals, when they are sitting, they know we will sit in this place, we will sit in this place. That is also a creation of resources, but I think positive, because we are maximizing on what we have. We've done the same in Kisumu. We also opened a shared services facility for tribunals in that place, so that we are not saying this tribunal will sit here, another one will sit there. Let them come together. We have got a shared facility. Those that need to sit can sit there. Those that are not located in Kisumu, we have got actually we have a virtual link to the Kisumu shared space where somebody can just walk in there and they get in touch with the tribunal that is sitting in Nairobi. So those are some of the things that we are really doing, you know, in the midst of the resource challenges, so that we don't limit.
I know a lot of things will touch on the resources, but let's look at the alternative dispute resolutions, the ADRs. We know we have the court annexed mediation, the small claims court. How has it been for the last 5 years? Because each and every soldier we hear an improvement in one thing or the other. How has it been, and especially in the year that we were looking at, 2023-2024?
Yes. That again for us is a very encouraging development, because under the Constitution, the judiciary is charged with the matters access to justice, and it's not limited to the mainstream court as we know it. So we have been at the forefront in terms of championing alternatives that exist. And as I mentioned earlier, if you look at the alternative justice systems, what we've been doing is working with the counties, so that every county, our target is for every county should have a county action plan for alternative justice systems, because the county has got its own unique ecosystem. They understand their people, they have got their own issues.
Yes.
And it's also good for buy-in, so that it is not something that is championed only by the judiciary, and it is not owned at the local level. And we are very happy that in the different counties now, we have got those action plans that have been taken up. And in this past financial year, due to the reporting period, we had 600, if I remember correctly, 677 cases, very specific, that were actually dealt with under the framework of the alternative justice systems. So that this is a matter that we are saying the court was not involved in its resolution. The matter went before elders, they sat down. The court was involved in some way, but not in a lot of, not so heavily. The matter went there, the elders sat down, the parties came together, and the matter was resolved. 677, you come to the court-annexed mediation. That also has, increased exponentially. There's a greater uptick now of matters where we have mediators coming in. Because as I did mention earlier, when you have the mediation, it helps to promote better relationships, because we come and we sit down and we are told, so, it's an agreement, it's a discussion. This person brought you to court, they are not happy with this, where can you compromise, what are the issues, we resolve them, shake hands and we move.
There are no winners or losers, they are all winners.
You're all winners, because there was a problem that both of you had, you have sat down, you have had this other side, and you have agreed. So we have seen that really moving well. Small claims courts, we've talked about those. Those ones have taken off.
9 billion.
9 billion back into the economy. So
I think we should capitalize on that, because
we really should.
They are really boosting the economy.
No, we really should. We really should do that. And the way to do it, of course, is to ensure that there are more of those courts.
Yes.
There are more of those courts across the country, and they will be able to make a massive, massive difference, particularly to Mwananchi, because most of the disputes you'd have between, Mwananchi, you are not talking about more than 1 million shillings. Most matters. There are some, of course, that will be above that. But most cases are, you owe me something, you took something from my hardware, hatujakubaliana. We took something else here where there's a problem, 200,000, 500,000, 700,000, 70,000, 50,000. And if that is moving quickly, then it means people are feeling like our matters are being dealt with. This dispute that we had is being resolved, and I can go back and do my work without having to be tied in the system 3 years, 4 years, 5 years.
Yes.
Yeah. So that is a game changer that I believe we need to really put our focus on, because those are front-facing, what you might call front-facing justice enablers. Small claims court, alternative justice systems, court-annexed mediation. Those are things that are quick, that can help people feel that I am truly getting justice. Yes.
And as we wait for maybe for a review of the budget, of which we are hoping that's going to, because looking at the figures, looking at what the courts and the judiciary are doing to ensure that there is bringing justice closer to people is very commendable. But you are also operating on what I could say below the required staff. How has been the staffing? You've talked about we need more court stations, we need more of the ADRs.
Yes.
What about the staff in the judiciary?
Yes. The staff is a big deal. It's really a big deal, because we are working very hard with what we have, because we know we must deliver. We have a mandate from the Kenyan people. The power that we hold, the judicial power that we hold, the Constitution says we hold it on behalf of the people. So we must deliver. But in order to do this job even better, we actually need the requisite personnel. So when you look at the numbers we currently have, let's start from the judges. We have 202 judges currently. Now, 202 judges, the requisite number, and that includes High Court judges, because there's High Court judges, judges in the Employment Court, judges in the Environment Court.
Yes.
That is, the total is judges in the Court of Appeal, judges in the Supreme Court.
All of them?
Yes, 202. So Supreme Court is okay, it's 7. Court of Appeal, we are at 28. The number there that is given by law is 70. So happily, there's some recruitment that is supposed to happen soon. But those numbers, fairly low, and they've been in the 20s for a while. And that is why in the Court of Appeal, they are, you know, they are really working hard as a court. But then there's also backlogs that have been there because of just those numbers. So with these additional numbers, then you expect to see that faster. High Court is supposed to have 200 judges. They have got 90 judges. Again, happily, there's a recruitment going on, 20 judges. This one should come on board maybe sometime in the first quarter or so of next year. So those numbers, very important to be available to do the work that is required. Magistrates, we have got 566 magistrates. We have got 46 cadis. Then we have legal researchers, we have law clerks, you know, to support the work of the judges and the judges mainly. When you look at those numbers, we are talking about because the High Court, we said, is 90 versus 200. That is less than 50%.
Yes.
The Court of Appeal, the numbers that there is also, in fact, that one is at maybe 30%.
30%, yeah.
About 30%.
Yeah.
When you come now to the judicial officers, magistrates, we're talking about 566 versus 1,200, what I mentioned earlier. So that is again less than 50%.
Yeah.
When you talk about the overall staff complement, now the other staff that support the court assistants, the procurement personnel, finance, you know, human resource, all that, we are talking about 6,900
yes,
that are currently in post against 10,800.
We're almost at half.
That
just
is required.
Slightly over 50%.
Yes, that is required. So those numbers tell a story. They do tell a story because it means the people that are in post, people are really exerting themselves. And we are not complaining because it is our responsibility. As I said, we are working very hard. Yeah. But it is important that these numbers start to align with the established, with what is supposed to be the proper numbers, so that then things can also move, you know, faster. Yeah. Yeah. So that we can have cases being, you know, rolling through the wheels a little faster, and also have staff and judicial officers and judges that are also, you know, healthy, and their well-being is also taken care of as they do this work. When you have one magistrate in a court station out there, it means they are really limited in terms of how they can plan their life. You know, you need to have several magistrates so that somebody can go on leave, so something happened to you, you know. And it is really, and the point for me that is really important is, are we able to look at this as a national issue? This is not an institutional issue that give us more budget, more human resource capacity, so that we feel better, so that, you know, we look good. No, no, no. This is absolutely critical for economic development, for the national development of this country, in order to secure the national interest of this nation. Indeed.
And I'm looking at the financial challenges that the judiciary has to undergo, and how it has to evolve and adapt to these challenges. But away from the challenges of finances, what are some of the other bottlenecks that are hindering access to justice for Kenyans?
Yeah, good question. We've talked about the issues of human resource and infrastructure. Yes. We are very keen on minimizing barriers barriers to access to justice. So one of those we talked about was geographical barrier, where you have people having to walk for long distances. You know, it defeats the essence of justice. So we are working to see how do we reduce that distance. That is where we have the issue of mobile courts. Let's take the courts to where the people are, so that people don't have to, you know, come that far. We also have issues to do with the persons living with disabilities as a challenge, and what we have sought to do is in all the new buildings, that are coming up, we ensure that they have got access for persons who are living with disabilities, so that they also, you know, feel that they have been considered, because they have got a right to also access, you know, justice. The issue of automation is a very, very big deal, because we have to make sure that we have got the capacity.
And where are we? Because you visit any court station, you'll find files, many physical files.
We do have those files, but then there's also a lot of work that has been done to make sure that we are moving digitally. As we speak, we have got a program that we call the MADIP. This is the digitization program, Mahakama Digitization Program, where we have been digitizing our records so that we can quickly move to full automation. When that program started some 2 years ago, we are talking about over 600,000 files that needed to be digitized and brought into the system. This team now has been able to do 322,000 of those cases. They've actually now been digitized into our system. And so it's a journey. It's a journey that you're moving.
But from your assessment, where are we in terms of percentages? We've done at least 50%. The reason I'm asking is because during the Gen Z protest, we did see one of the court stations being set ablaze. A lot of documents were burnt in that.
True.
Where are we in terms of automation?
I would put it at about 60%. At 60%, I think 60%. Overall, we can talk about 60%.
All right, we're going to be looking at security and also how you're dealing with some of the issues raised by the staff and some of the things that are emerging issues. Just in case you joined us, we are looking at the state of the judiciary and administration of justice. There is the report that they issue each and every year just to take stock of what the judiciary has been doing. And if you asked me, they have a lot of A marks in a number of issues, but in as much as they are doing very well, there are numerous challenges, just like Honorable Ndemo has told us, in terms of resources, especially on matters of resources. But they are circumventing them. I'm honored to be hosting Honorable Paul Ndemo, who is a Deputy Chief Registrar and the Judiciary Chief or Spokesperson. Yes. And because of the interest of time, a very sad affair last year happened at one of our courts when we lost Madam Monica. Honorable Monica Kebuti. And it also shook us as court reporters as well, because we didn't. This is something that was so unprecedented. So how have you turned around matters of security? I know the tents that we used to cover some of the cases are no longer there, but just for the interest of Kenyans, tell them how you've fortified security, especially for judicial workers.
Yes, thank you for that question. Indeed, that was a very low moment for us as an institution, but also for the country, because when a public officer who is devoted and giving themselves, wholly to their work is targeted for doing the right thing, then that is a really sad thing. But going to the question, what we decided immediately after that is, and you see, this was in the spirit of just being innovative, making sure that we're offering services. She was killed actually in a tent where she was doing her case. And we had come up with these tents, and these tents were across the country because we didn't have enough facilities. But we said, because justice must continue to be served to Mwananchi, then we can put up tents. And then in those makeshift structures, people can receive services. So that is where that unfortunate incident happened. So after that, the leadership of the Judiciary and also Judicial Service Commission said this must come to an end. We will not have temporary structures where judicial officers are sitting and can easily be targeted. So that is one of the decisions that was made. Unfortunate as that would mean to access to justice for people, but the welfare of judicial officers, judges and staff is absolutely critical, not just for the judiciary but for the country. So that was one of the immediate decisions that was made. Get rid of all temporary structures. So people are now squeezing in the more permanent structures to be able to, you know, hear cases. But we also sat down and said we need now to think about an extra budget to take care of, you know, the entrances. So we've increased our budget to look at things like now CCTV cameras and, you know, scanners and that, you know, things like those that will help to boost security. Apart from that, there are some guidelines that were issued by the Chief Registrar about management of the courts itself, so that who are the persons who are allowed to come into court, and if you come in armed into the court precincts, what are the procedures to be followed. So that is also something that has been done to ensure that you know, there is some additional security for those that are working in the courts.
Because I've seen in Milimani, everybody has to be checked and you have to go through, you know, the scanner to ensure that you are not carrying any weapons. And if you are, and you have to, you have to
deposit it somewhere that is,
in the safe. And what about judiciary police? Because we have seen that we have seen administration police. I've always seen Kenya police.
That's true.
There. I think this would be more or less like a police who are best suited for the judiciary, because they will have some training in regards to judiciary.
I mean, that would be an excellent idea when we eventually get you know, a police force that is dedicated specifically to the judiciary. But in the meantime, we have what we call a judiciary police unit. But it is comprised of officers now from the administration police, National Police Service. They're the ones who come and serve and just help to take care of, you know, security issues. So that team has also worked very well with our offices, just to make sure that we have got people that are trained in security to address matters quickly, because we didn't have that team before. If there was an issue, you had to look for the nearest OCS or call whoever, you know. But now we have a team that is within the institution, but these are officers that have been seconded from those different forces.
All right, we will take a quick break, but when we come back, I'm quite sure almost the about 6,900 staff, judiciary staff, are watching. So I would like to know what the judiciary is doing to motivate them, you know. I mean, the harsh economic times and, you know, the work overload. How are you working them to ensure that maybe you can answer that before we just wrap it up.
All right. First of all, I think let me just address them. We really appreciate the work that you do. I can speak that on behalf of the Chief Justice and the leadership of the judiciary. We are very, very grateful for the hard work that you put in, despite the difficult, you know, conditions. And you are aware that at least in this year, after a very long time, we had our sports day. Sports day for the institution. This had gone, you know, it started a while back, but then because of funding again, it was removed. But this particular year, the Chief Justice said, no, we need to have it back. Just as a way of motivating staff, as a way of ensuring that people, you know, get together and, you know, just have an atmosphere that is different, you know, from the regular day-to-day. Also, for the first time, we had the Judiciary Wellness Day. Following a resolution passed by the United Nations. And we quickly took it up because we reckon that it is important to have a motivated staff. So just know that you are highly appreciated. Your services are highly necessary and required by the Kenyan people. And this will not go unnoticed. Thank you. I would like to pick your mind on this very one question. What is the single most ambitious goal you hope to have achieved under your administration, bearing in mind that you're the Deputy Chief Registrar and the Judiciary Spokesperson, as we wrap up? Okay. Me as the spokesperson or as the institution?
Both, if you can be able to answer that, as you know.
Yeah, I think for the most ambitious goal for us as the judiciary would be for us to go 100% automation.
Yeah.
Proper automation, full, transcription of our services, all staff with the necessary equipment, so that across the entire country, we are talking about going paperless. That for us would be a very high ambition. It is a high ambition, but a doable ambition, and that we think would really change around the justice in this country.
All right.
Yeah.
You don't have a personal one?
I have many personal ones, but I'm very privileged.
Eyes on the prize.
I'm very privileged to be the first judiciary spokesperson, at least under the new constitution.
Yeah.
And my goal is to strengthen this office so that we create an environment where there's a very robust engagement with both the media and the public, so that we can tell our story, people can give us feedback, and we can ensure that there's better access to justice.
Definitely, we need more time for this, because every year the report itself is a bulky.
Yes,
have to flip each and every page every day to just think. But the good thing is that you guys are doing a good job.
Thank you.
Personally are having worked some work under you. I can say that you're doing a very good job.
Thank you very much.
And congratulations.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate time being here.
Thank you. That has been the Honorable Paul Ndemo, who is the Deputy Chief Registrar and the spokesperson for the judiciary there. Of course, let's continue this conversation on social media for questions, suggestions, or even where you're watching us from on social media. But on this second hour, we'll be focusing on the upcoming by-elections. Remember, the by-elections on Thursday, but yesterday, we completed the campaigns. We'll be looking at governance and ethical leadership. I will be hosting Honorable Peter Mutua Mutuku and also Jeremiah Karanja, talking about that in a bit.